Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. I know it's been a while, but we are here again.
It has been a while.
Yes.
It has been a little while.
Yep. We had a lot going on, though. I think everybody did during the holidays, and then we had the ice thing going on next week. Knocked us out. And
Let's make sure you ice, not lice.
Ice.
It was ice.
Ice. Yeah, not lice.
We had a little bit of the ice stuff.
So.
And you were gone to New York for a little while.
Yeah, I did a little.
Playing some guitar and singing some music. And
yeah, that was kind of fun. But it was also kind of a tripped out trip.
yeah, we're not going to go into that part.
We're just
going to talk about the music.
Yeah, it was kind of cool, man. I met a dude named Sunny Days when I was there, and we played this place called Off the Hook, and it was very interesting, man. It was laid back. It was like kind of like almost jamming in your living room, and just everybody had just couches and seats, and they were serving dinner and appetizers, things like that, drinks. But it was really interesting. You just go up and you play with the house band. And the house band's pretty good because they pretty much caught on, and I was kind of surprised. So, I mean, they just hit the timing and everything. Even the songs, I only played like 3 songs, man, but it went very well, man. But there was a dude named, like I said, Sunny Days, man. I got a clip of him here, man. Ron, will you pop that up real quick? And just want people to check him out, man. We're going to play a little clip here of it, man, and it's called Dark Mind.
So this was at the place in New York where you were.
Yeah, Off the Hook.
Off the Hook.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's kind of laid back. You see the brick back there on the wall. It got a good flow to it. Watch this. Can you turn that up a little bit, Ron?
Did anybody take any of you up there?
Yeah, I was just saying before you get into that. Yeah, I stuck the camera up there, but the person I was there with stuck her wine glass right in the middle of the camera. So, and then she somehow, I guess she cut it off, and so I mean it was like about a 2-minute clip of me, man, at the very end, and so I was like. Yeah, you can cut it, Ryan. But yeah, he's pretty badass, man. He's a cool dude, man. I'm sending him some stuff now, and I'm gonna kind of may work with him on some tracks. I'm actually working up some tracks to work with him actually too. So, but it was cool. It was cool, man.
We've had
cool people there. So
we've had a lot go on since.
Yeah, they were flipping out in New York too, man. Yeah. They didn't really know what was gonna happen. They're kind of like on the edge of their seats, and I'm like, man, come on, it's not the end of the world. And there was a lot of people that didn't give a crap either.
We've had them. The tariffs have been pushed on, Mexico and Canada, and
yeah, we've been,
and they've kind of bowed the knee and said, okay, well, never mind, we'll do what you want. And that's all. All they wanted them to do was shut the borders.
Yeah. I mean, get control. Get control, and then figure out what to do from there.
And the fentanyl and all the other stuff coming across the border. It was just getting it stopped.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
we have the whole Canada situation going on.
How many orders did he sign? Like the first day he was in?
Man, a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
was it like every couple of days?
Did I hear it was like the most in history or something like that? It was like somebody told me the guy was up signing them at night. So, but he signed a lot of them apparently because I mean.
Well, it seems like there's a lot coming. I think today signed the one for the. No male and female sports, and then I think the NCAA came out and changed their
policy.
Changed their policy too. So things are changing very rapidly and very quickly across the globe.
Yeah.
Here at home too.
Yeah, I'm just kind of waiting to see what the economic impact's going to be. But we won't really see any of that for the next 6 months.
The problem is most people don't realize what the tariffs and what they really are. If you go look, Canada's got like I think it's close to $600 million in tariffs on United States products going into Canada now. And we don't charge them any tariffs coming in. It's the same way with Mexico. We're the only country that doesn't really charge a tariff.
We don't charge any tariffs coming in from
really.
those countries?
Not like everybody else does.
Okay.
I mean, you go to Germany, you're not going to walk around and see a Ford car or, Toyota or, it's Volkswagen,
yeah,
German. I mean, the tariff is so much unless you're a car collector.
How is the American market overseas?
I mean, it's good. I mean, because, trucks and stuff like that.
I mean, we sell a lot of, vehicles and
I'm sure we do.
Things like that.
People want them.
I mean, we don't make anything here, so I'm wondering what the hell we sell. Other than...
they do make most stuff. I mean, the problem is it needs to go. It's going back to kind of like it was before when Toyota had their big plant in Arlington. Remember that back in the day?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where all the Toyota trucks were all made here in Arlington.
Yeah.
It's because Toyota invested in the United States and the jobs, so it was American people putting the cars together, and those are the ones that were being sold in the United States. So that's how they were getting around the tariff. Yeah. That's fine. You're supplying jobs and economic growth to the United States. But if you go look at the tariff, when we had tariffs, pre-1971.
Yeah.
Taxes weren't as high. We weren't taxed on a lot of other stuff because tariffs, if somebody's going to tariff you and you're not tariffing them back, you're just taking advantage of the price situation either way.
Yeah.
It changed it. It's kind of like you had the whole thing about Panama, we're going to take back the Panama Canal, no, and the same thing was with the Gulf of America thing, Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America.
Have they changed that yet?
Yeah, it's been changed. I mean, I don't think it's on every map or whatever, but if you really go understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I posted a thing on Facebook about the Gulf of America thing. Everybody thinks it's just, he just, wants to change it to America and, and, it's just his ego and.
Well, it's just a historical thing. It's always been called that. So
no,
so
it hasn't. And what's different about it now is, or not different about it, but I'll read you the thing. This is.
It might not have been called that before the Americas was here, but.
Okay, so this is what was. I mean, I can send you this thing, but I'll read it to you. In December 2023, there was a decision by the World Court that gave the water above land shelves to those countries and ruled they were not international waters. The renaming of the Gulf of America isn't renaming the whole Gulf. It's renaming the area above our land shelf as our territory. You can't exactly put signs or border walls in the middle of the ocean. So for legal reasons, we need to identify these new changes on the map so that new borders are made clear in maritime traffic. Those new maps will set the latitude and longitudes of where our borders begin, or the Gulf of America.
Yeah.
So all maritime traffic knows when they are leaving international waters. This is where knowing what is happening in the world will help you filter out some of the drama. You can go on to the Greenland thing, and it's not.
Haven't they been talking about how the shelf has been each year it gets it gets wider and wider? I read something about that the other day.
I mean, yeah. So well, I don't know about that. I'd have to look. I'd have to read into that and research or something. I don't know, but I know that's where our thing's supposed to go all the way out to. So that's all that really was doing, changing the name. It was nothing to slight Mexico or any other. That's not what it was. It's the area around the water in the United States, our water, which would be the United States territorial water or territorial land.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes into like what we were talking about earlier, like the Panama Canal. And I think we have some stuff in. You had some stuff on the Panama Canal.
Yeah. If you pull up that email, Ron, there's some stuff in there. It just gives a little history on the Panama Canal.
I mean,
so we kind of everybody put into context what we're talking about.
then what? 38,000 people U.S. lost their lives building the canal.
Well, no, not exactly. It was France actually had there was I think it was I'll have to look for sure. It's either 36 or 42,000 that lost their lives, but 22,000 were actually from France that lost their lives after before we acquired it. But I mean, there were several losses once we acquired it. So
I didn't even know the French.
So the French
actually were.
Yeah, they didn't do anything really. They tried for years, and it really once again they went broke because of it. They lost so many soldiers' lives and workers' lives, and so much money they put into it. That's why they ended up selling it to the U.S. They just it broke them. They were broke at that time, so we took over from that point on. But we turned it over. I think it was at 99 and handed control back over to them.
Yes,
and
with provisions.
Yeah, it was there was an agreement. It wasn't just handed over to them directly. We were supposed to be given courtesies and there were monies that were not supposed to be paid.
American naval ships or military ships were not to be charged through, and they've been charging anywhere from 12 to $13 million a year to the United States for that. We've been paying for, and it's not run by Panama.
Yeah, you were telling me that actually China has been kind of secretly working in the background.
That's why they've been charging us. So
that's what Trump.
So when him saying we're take back the Panama Canal, he's exactly right. What he did was the conversation was the agreement says Panama's to run the canal, and that our military ships are to go through free. Any breaking of that treaty, which meant the treaty had already been broken.
Yeah,
that the United States could take back the Panama Canal,
which is why Trump said it.
Again, and everybody jumps to this thing that he's just this dictator.
He's trying to reinforce contracts and things that were
correct
that were agreed upon, and we've just let them get by
to the fire.
Yeah,
then they have to do it, and that's why all these countries are bending the knee immediately after he says tariffs and all that stuff. They know if those tariffs actually went into effect, their economy would be destroyed in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and he's not out to destroy their economy, like you said. I think he's just trying to enforce the agreements that are already in place.
Once they said, "Hey, we're sending the troops back to the border, and we're doing stay in Mexico and all that kind of stuff," all the tariffs went away. Same thing with Canada. You have to use leverage. If the other people doesn't, it's like.
Oh, he's a businessman.
Yeah.
I mean, he's running. I mean, we got to realize the United States is a corporation, and until there's no turning back. Sorry, it's just not. The only way you're going back to a constitutional system is to erase it all, and I don't see that ever happening in my lifetime. So.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. No. I think you're seeing the beginning of the end.
Well, yeah. I mean, now you've got to figure out how to maneuver and live your life between all these.
No, I think you're seeing
changes of corporate
with this
policy.
The new Doge organization inside the government, the new Elon Musk.
Okay, now let me understand this. Doge, was that the agency that Trump just created to oversee and to oversee spending and try to cut spending? Okay.
Department of Government Efficiency.
Okay.
So basically, they're going in and looking at every contract and every check that's going out, where it's going to and why it's going there.
Mm-hmm.
My first question is isn't somebody doing that now?
Why aren't they doing what now? What do you mean?
Why isn't somebody auditing stuff like that?
There's an audit. There's a governmental auditing agency that's supposed to be doing this. Now they're not doing their job.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and that's why most of these people that were federal employees were at home working about 5 minutes a day, and that's why they don't want to go back to the office. These people are getting paychecks for basically doing nothing. That's why they're shutting most of this stuff down, because it doesn't need to be there. They don't need them in the government. It's just more red tape.
Yeah, but I mean, we've got to be careful about who you cut off in the U.S. aid, because there are people, I'm not sure exactly, and I need to do more research myself. What USA aid entails, is it only foreign entities or is it domestic?
It's a lot of different things.
So,
it's internally and
you
domestic.
You got to watch just cutting certain things off. I mean, you could devastate a group of people.
Like what?
Not,
like what?
You know, well, okay, for like if you were going to do away, for instance, the welfare system,
Well, see,
and to rechange it.
See, when they came out and did that stuff, they said Medicaid, Medicare, welfare, Social Security, any of that kind of stuff. Your check will be in the mailbox, just it is.
I'm just making the point.
It wasn't that. It was. Did you see the list of the stuff that was on some of those things?
I saw a partial list, and
I mean, like the $4.3 million for the transsexual parade in Ukraine, and the $2.6 million.
Several of those things I agreed with. A lot of that stuff I agreed with.
The $20.4 million for Sesame Street in Iran.
But wasn't he at the time when he signed that to freeze the whole thing, or was it just part of it? My understanding was he was freezing the whole agency, which means you freeze everything.
It was anything that was non-essential.
Non-essential? Okay.
That's what they said.
I didn't hear that.
And then the news ran and told everybody that they were shutting everything down, and it had nothing non-essential. Okay. So that meant welfare, all the other stuff, Social Security, everything else was going to be up and running. Medicaid, Medicare, everything. It's a non-essential stuff. So it's all this money going out, like the $50 million for condoms in Gaza.
Condoms in Gaza?
Yeah.
What the fuck they need condoms in Gaza for?
$50 million. $50 million of our tax money.
A salvage yard now.
They just stopped that payment.
Okay. Good.
The list went on. You should read the list. Seriously.
No, I have to check it out. I just listened to them name off some things.
It was like $1.2 million for a transgender parade in Ukraine.
Yeah, none of that stuff. Sorry.
Okay, well, that was 99.9% of the stuff they're cutting.
Okay.
And it's already, I think we're at what, like $60 billion or something?
Yeah, it was a large number. It wasn't quite 100 yet, but it was.
I mean, it's they're offering all these people that basically aren't doing anything anyway inside the federal government. A lot of these people are taking the.
Oh, now there were 60,000. There were 60,000 employees, I think, that have taken the buyout. But if I'm not mistaken, a judge put a hold on this offer. So I don't know when, and I'll have to look it up. Maybe Brian can look it up while we're talking over here. But I could have sworn I heard something about a judge put an emergency.
Here we go with these judges again. That goes back to the conversation that we had about the Supreme Court.
Yeah, well, I mean, it'll make its way faster up to there.
No,
I mean,
the conversation we had.
If they want to challenge it, but
let's ask Ryan. I want to ask you this. So, if we're living in the United States and we're unconstitutional, the law of the land is the Constitution. And
but we've determined it's not.
Like the Second Amendment, where it says shall not be infringed upon. How can any court case go to the Supreme Court and not come back with a 9-0 confirmation that no, you can't do this to, whatever stock of a gun or blah, blah, blah. Going by constitutional law, that's what the Supreme Court's supposed to do. Wouldn't it always be a ruling of 0-9 or 9-0? How is there any reason why it's 6-3 or 5-4, and then you have to read two of the judges' opinions about the law? I don't remember us asking them for their opinion of the law ever. They're supposed to read the law, and if it says you commit murder, you lose your life, say, whatever, if that was the law,
yeah, then
there's not any, well, they committed murder, but, this
gun is a very firm foundation. Your gun rights. That's a very firm foundation. Now, other cases you can't classify all.
Well, hang on.
Cases
but
into that one because
how
that's
many gun
different...
cases do you think the Supreme Court has heard or seen in the lifetime of the Supreme Court?
Well, for instance, it may be instead of gun rights, it may be a Fourth Amendment violation.
Okay.
Instead of that. So it may at that point in time, the argument may be a little bit different, and it's not as clear. Okay.
Okay. So any First Amendment right, there should be 9-0 or 0-9. That's the only thing the Supreme Court should come. There should never be anything but 9-0 or 0-9. You either follow the law of the land and of the word.
Yeah.
But that's not happening. What now is we're getting 9 people in there and having their own opinions on how the law is read, and then deciding, oh, I don't know if I like this or I don't like this. We never asked you to like it or not like it. You're just supposed to read the law and say, did they break the law, yes or no? And that's the only part you're supposed to do. I don't care about your opinion and what you think. I really don't. I don't care what any judge or anybody thinks. They shouldn't have to think. They should just look at the law and say, this is the law, and there is no other, in my opinion, we could change, no. Either go back to Congress and change the law.
The law is not up for interpretation.
Correct. It's not up for. So I don't understand. I don't. Now,
for instance, let me give you an instance. All right, somebody's pulled over. Okay, they're pulled over. They're asked to get out of their car. They start to give them the field sobriety test, and then they put them back in their car. They go back, run their driver's license. They come back. And they pull the person out of the car, and then they start asking him questions. Okay. And then immediately after that, they basically arrest the person. Okay. The person goes back. They go back to the jail. It gets booked in. Okay. Well, it comes now before the court. Okay. Now that defendant claims that it was that the evidence they seized was an illegal seizure because your rights were not read.
Okay.
Okay. All right. They start asking you questions on the scene. Right when you're there, your rights are never read. So you're trying to get the video excluded. Well, the judge comes back and goes, okay, the volume's excluded, but the video's not.
What if your rights were never read to you? The whole case is dropped anyways.
The whole case should be dropped anyways.
It is dropped.
Okay.
Now, it's not.
I understand that.
It should be. It is dropped.
So
if you were not Mirandized, the case is dropped 100%.
So let's say that does go to the Supreme Court, that case like that, and he keeps getting appealed, and people keep shooting again. It's all the way to the Supreme Court. That should be 9-0 by the Supreme Court, saying that your Fourth Amendment right was run over.
Well, basically, you're telling them that the evidence that they seized was illegal. Okay, and. Yeah, I agree with you.
Now, how can
I'm just
reading
curious.
The law?
But yeah, each judge would have said.
I know, but by reading the law, what you just said, no judge should have. It should have been not. If that case went to the Supreme Court, the case should have been overturned 9-0 by the Supreme Court. It wouldn't.
Yeah, it doesn't vacate the arrest. You still get arrested. But it changes what they can use against you in courts. My point.
That should be wiped out from that point.
You think it should be wiped out?
That should be wiped out, and then every county or district court or appeals court that kept changing their mind, you should get a refund on anybody. If you win, the government or whoever was fighting the lawsuit, who should have to pay all your legal fees all the way back to the beginning. If you wasted $10 million. Fighting all the way, and you got all the way to the Supreme Court, and the SupremeOrt said you won, you shouldn't have to pay all those legal fees. It wasn't you. You didn't.
See, I heard somebody else. Well, that doesn't happen, but
again, that's what should that.
I agree.
If there were things like that are added to our court system, that if you take somebody to court or somebody you sue somebody and you're proving it was your fault or you were the problem, then you should have to pay all their court costs. If they appeal and you should have to pay all their attorney's fees and everything. stops people from running up and slipping and falling and pretending they're doing shit.
We've got to open that hole because right now there's no you don't have that right to sue
but again,
government officials for that.
If it goes to the Supreme Court, which is supposed to be the highest law in the land,
the
law, whatever law it is, whichever one you want to pick, please explain to me how it's not 9-0 or 0-9 on either vote.
That's what I was going to finish saying.
There is no opinion on the law.
I said this to another friend of mine. Is a judge of the family.
Matter.
Yeah, well, he was a judge of the family, and what he told me was,
shall not be infringed upon.
I agree with you on the Second Amendment.
Well, how many? See, pull that up. Just ask.
But he told me, he goes,
how many Second Amendment cases have made it to the Supreme Court? I would just like to know how many have made it.
How many what?
How many
cases a year?
No, 2A gun cases, Second Amendment gun cases have gone all the way to the Supreme Court.
In his lifetime, probably a ton. I mean, a ton, I would think.
But, again, it goes back to the, it shall not be infringed upon. That means the government or the state or anybody can't tell you what color it can be, how long the
14th Amendment
is.
allows for states to create their own laws. Okay.
Yes.
So if they can create their own, state can create their own laws at that point in time. Yeah, you can be a violation of a Second Amendment right.
Even the states can't take away your constitutional right.
But you don't have that right because you're a felon, for instance. Okay.
Well. That goes into a lot of other, what felony for what?
Yeah. I mean, if you're a felon, period. You okay? Let's put it this way: if you have I think it's a Class D or a Class C nonviolent, you can have shotguns and rifles and stuff. You can't have handguns or things like that, automatic weapons. Other than that, if you're a felon that's violated those others, you can't have any of them. If you're violent or a rapist or a theft or something like that.
Would you want people?
No, you wouldn't. And that's why I don't have a problem with states creating their own laws around that, as long as they don't.
Yeah, but that's not telling a regular
citizen.
That's not telling a regular citizen that he can't have this or that thing. No. That's somebody that's broken the law already, and that's part of their punishment for doing what they did.
Yeah, no.
Somebody that non-violent, if it's bank felony or something like that,
But back
blue collar or white collar crime. I mean, what's the difference?
Back to the judges though, and why they have different opinions, and it is because of that fact that we leave things.
Did you find out how many?
The framers of the Constitution didn't pinpoint every little detail. They couldn't have anticipated what was going to occur in 1950 or in 2020.
When you read the Constitution and the amendments and all of it together, it pretty much took care of just about anything you could really.
But you got to remember, we're not in a constitutional system. We're in a corporate system. So what do we have? We have corporate laws that contradict Constitution. So what happens? Constitution loses out. Because if they follow the Constitution, then they have to change all their other rulings regarding corporate or you and me. So that's not going to happen. What you been up to, Ryan? Working, man. Yeah, I've been working my ass off too. That's why I've been a little late coming to the show today.
All it says is many. Supreme Court cases heard many.
Oh, I would imagine it's in the thousands. I couldn't have.
But how many of the? I mean, again, it goes back to the ruling on any of those cases.
Well, just pull up a particular case and see what and see what the dissenting opinion was, and then you can figure out why people rule in dissent.
It's because
if it's a clear case.
Some judges believe that the Second Amendment is written not for the average citizen, it's written for the militia member.
But that would be everybody, because we're all considered militia members. If you live in the United States.
It depends on your term of the militia and how you use it, I guess. Because what is a militia?
Well, I mean, back then, militia was a group of people that got together to stand against a wrong. That's what a militia was, I believe. My understanding is from the old days. And so, I mean, there wasn't an army there was an army, but I mean, there wasn't it wasn't like groups of people like we have now. Okay? We classify those groups of people as, white supremacists, conspiracy theorists. I mean, we classify people as all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing as a militia. It's just a group of people.
Again, it doesn't matter if it's supposed to be militia or not. The wording in there says that shall not be infringed upon. That means they can't tell you what color it is, how long the magazine is, how long your barrel is, how fast it shoots, how slow it shoots, if it shoots marshmallows, if it shoots rocks, if it shoots bullets.
You're not part of the militia.
It doesn't matter. I don't have to be part of the militia.
That's not what the Second Amendment says.
The Constitution and the amendments are God alienable rights I was given at birth in this country. Nobody can take those away from me.
Not how that works.
That's exactly
God
how
didn't
it
give a
works.
shit if you had a gun, dog. I promise you that.
God didn't give you those rights. The U.S. government gave you those rights. Or the founding fathers gave you those
we
rights.
as people gave ourselves those rights. Is what we did.
However you want to look on it.
It just depends.
We just signed a contract and agreed to it.
It just depends on what you see a militia as. But a militia is...
What's the definition there?
It's a military force that is raised from the civilian population to supplement a regular army in an emergency, is what it says on here.
Okay. Yep.
So how can a militia not be prepared if you're not buying new
guns?
guns?
Are militia, I think.
How can you not be a militia if you're not buying new guns and cleaning your guns and shooting at the range and everything else? And you can't take that right away from us.
We are a militia, basically, in the term that we are. We are armed and ready for anything that needs to happen.
I was gonna say, I think there's enough people armed. I don't have to worry. I think we have to worry about putting a militia together if we had to.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing.
That's what a militia is.
Yeah.
Same thing with
it's enough people armed.
So. People just think the First Amendment right is free speech. It's a lot more than free speech.
If you think it's only
free ideas, it's free ideas, free speech. It's just free. It's free to walk.
It's free speech. It's
the right to assemble.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're doing right here.
It's free assembly.
Yep.
It's
it's
freedom of religion, freedom of press.
Again, when you look at
I thought you were just talking about freedom of speech. I was like,
no, but I mean, when you look at all of the stuff in the First Amendment, any of that stuff that goes to the Supreme, it's the same thing. It says certain things you have inalienable rights that you were born with.
No, and I agree with it all day long. Hey, you say whatever you want to say, but on the flip side is
you don't have to agree with it.
People don't have to agree with it, but you better be right about what you say too, because your ass can get sued. So,
I understand that.
You are liable for what you say.
Still trying to figure out how.
It depends on what it depends on what you say that you can be sued for.
Well, defamation.
Yeah, but that's different than just saying
do something that
hateful.
Offends. Yeah, I mean, if you do something that offends or takes away from somebody's livelihood and it's not true.
Where's that in the Constitution?
And it's based upon
that's different. That's different
libel
from
and
fraud. Speech.
That's something that's been added.
Taking away words.
That's corporation law that's been added along the way.
Oh, I know, but you hear these people ranting and raving on social media and stuff like that. You
have a right to do that.
I understand that, but you also have the right to face the consequences if you cause an action.
Technically,
where does it say that in the Constitution?
You don't have the right to do that because a corporation like TikTok.
Yeah, that was to say they just take you down.
They can block you. They can do.
They can.
So and that's what they do.
In the government, that's what they were doing.
And that's what they do. I mean,
what I'm trying to say is,
well, the government was trying to suppress free speech.
They didn't want information out there. What it says, freedom of speech. It doesn't say little apostrophe look down here in the bottom. If you say something mean to somebody and they don't agree and it messes up your livelihood, you can sue them.
That's not what I said. That's not what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm saying. Anything that came to the Supreme Court about the freedom of, you can say whatever you want to. It's not nice and it might not be correct. And you probably shouldn't do it as a moral human being and a good Christian and everything else. But there is no law in the Constitution. That was a corporation law that's been added along.
There's civil laws. There's civil laws that created
corporation laws that have been.
Well, I mean, even before there's corporation, there was still.
That was back before we had.
I mean, there was still, if you had a dispute with somebody, you took them to court.
Nobody cried when you told them you couldn't spend money anymore and stuff, and they had
you took them down to the old county court, and you settled your dispute there.
You guys back then didn't have.
You settled your dispute there.
If what?
That you guys back in the day didn't have feelings too. You guys got your feelings hurt over a lot of shit too. Let's not act like we were back then.
Not as much as the kids today.
I'm not going to disagree that it's.
And I'm not even saying your generation. I'm saying the new generation.
Yeah, but let's not sit here and act like y'all's generation.
No, we didn't. Shit too. No, you'd been surprised. It was
the riots that happened back then.
Yeah, we were the fuck shit up generation. What are you talking about?
Hippies literally sat around crying every day about wars and everything else. That's your whole generation.
Things were.
Not mine,
you
man.
could just go back and look at the comedy.
We were tearing shit up in the 90s.
Go back and look at the comedy, the movies, and the TV shows from my era that would never be allowed on TV now.
Oh no! I saw a list of them.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. But that's how everybody was back then. Everybody was like.
The problem is we've let feelings take hold of.
Thank you.
Common sense.
Not necessarily common sense, but it's rooted itself into like cancel culture.
Yes,
is what it is. Like it's the idea that companies lose business, they lose their businesses. People don't watch.
Go back and watch Eddie Murphy Raw.
Yeah. All the stuff like that. It's that companies. Companies don't.
I think he even said, "I don't." I wouldn't get about.
Companies don't.
Eddie Murphy
to be
delirious.
Honest, most companies do not care about cancel culture, but the problem is they have to. Otherwise, they'll be
canceled.
Because people will stop going there. Well, you'll always have the other half that will go there and support them, but it may not be enough.
No, they look at it in dollars and cents. They don't look at it in
they look at the reasonable choice of having to just make a choice to keep their business open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Possible.
That's exactly what it is.
I mean,
the small business owner like you probably wouldn't give a shit because you probably wouldn't care, but when you're $1 billion corporation and you start losing
there's a difference
millions
between
and millions of dollars
making $2 billion and like 1.3.
Well, I wouldn't have put myself in the situation of having that.
Well, that's what they do. That's they just go along with the ideas that the mass public go so that they don't get canceled.
If I was one of them big guys, I would have been like, here's what we're gonna do.
To them in person,
we're not gonna advertise all this stuff about us being, sympathetic to this group and this group and this group. We're just going to get out there and tell people we love everybody. We hire anybody. Why? and just go with that. I mean,
well, I think
why did you have? I mean, why did you have to make a big?
I think that's what it's going back to. That's what the big push is right now.
It was to jump on that instant moment of advertising. Because if you say something, that's right. Because you say something and it catches on the 5 o'clock news
it's the same
or
thing
some
that
other
Ben
place,
and Jerry's is
and
doing
then
right now.
It's just it is. It's business since
Ben and Jerry's is like talking like they post on their stuff about Trump's basically a dictator and stuff. That's why like grocery stores and like shit like that have been like locking up the Ben and Jerry's section and stuff like that, and people are videoing it being locked.
I mean, I'm not paying $6 or $7 for a little pint of ice cream.
A lot of people are supporting Ben and Jerry's, but that's the whole thing.
I'm like, wow.
It's just there's too much overstep. Not necessarily overstep is the wrong word. It's too much
overreach.
No, it's too much. Companies shouldn't be getting involved in things like that. They should just play in their business and do their business. They don't need to get political. They don't need to get political. They don't need to do all that bullshit. Just
I think personally, I think it's a marketing scheme. I think it's something that this. If we say this or do this, like I said, it's going to get caught on by the news, or it's going to get caught on by this group of people, or it's going to get talked on on the radio, or ESPN might bring it up. So I mean, it really is.
Or is it just going to be? It's like this. The U.S. aid thing. That was the Politico Did you read
What's
that?
up now?
The Politico, the news agency.
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah,
no, I've just been trying to catch up, man. I mean,
basically, Politico's whole Politico employees didn't get paid or whatever after they shut off the money from the U.S. aid. And
the employees.
Politico, the newspaper news agency, from that U.S. they were getting $8.2 million a year from U.S. aid.
Why is the news agency getting money from?
That's because
the government.
Corruption.
See what I put on top of that?
Oh my God.
That's exactly what it was. And now it came out today that I think it's either the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times was getting more than that.
It's corruption. It's so that they can control.
It's
Are you
government-funded news.
I haven't seen that at all.
That's so they can
Lord
control
have
media and
mercy.
control news that comes out.
Oh, I've known that they've had their foot in the doors of news media for years. That's not a big news, but that's I mean,
man,
to be paying the people, that's a whole.
I've been trying to tell you that for a long time.
You think the
that
media
they've
was
been
just
paying
doing
for
it
you.
for free?
No, I just thought that the government gave them access to certain things, you know,
they
and
pay them straight up to do that.
You know, and it was a way for them to get it's a way for them to get a foot in the door into a government agency. Wow, I didn't know that at all. You need to put that up.
Well, I want
on the screen.
I mean, you're already talking about what's
this is
on the 60 Minutes interview.
Okay, here you go. This is what some of the stuff that was in the U.S. aid thing.
Yeah, I have to catch up on the couple of weeks myself, I guess.
$2 million for Moroccan pottery classes.
$2 million for what?
Moroccan pottery classes.
Who the fuck goes to Moroccan pottery classes?
In Morocco. $2 million promoting tourism in Lebanon. $20 million for Sesame Street show in Iraq. $1.7 million to send Ukrainians to Paris Fashion Week. $1.5 million for DEI in Serbia. $70,000 for a DEI musical in Ireland. $47,000 for transgender opera in Colombia. $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. $2 million. $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala. $6 million to help tourism in Egypt. $1 million to help disabled people in Tajikistan. And $15 million for contraceptives and condoms in Taliban-controlled Afghanistan.
Wow.
That was
all
just that was just part of what they was what they found. Part of what they found.
No, that's a lot.
Do you think any of this money's actually gone to Morocco for a pottery class?
Dude, that's all going to somebody else's pocket, man. It's going to some. That's going to
that's
some politician.
Why when these people are starting to yell about, who did this?
That's going to somebody else. That ain't
that?
going to them. You ain't paying for pottery classes. What the fuck?
And U.S. aid is supposed to be helping here if we need it.
I'm still dumbfounded about the $8.2 million from Politico. Holy shit.
Yeah, Politico's on there, and I think somebody said today that somebody posted.
I want to know if New York Times is. That's
I think it was either Wall Street Journal or New York Times.
Look on there, find that out. I want to know now.
This Wall Street Journal.
Inquiring mind wants to know. So how you people been doing? I hope y'all are enjoying the show today. We're all just kind of kicking back and going all over the board.
Oh, do you remember during the beginning of the Ukraine war? Mm-hmm. And you remember they sent Angelina Jolie over there, and Orlando Bloom, and Sean Penn.
Oh, to Ukraine?
Yeah, and what's the other guy? Okay. Well, this was also paid through U.S. aid. So let me get to this. This is Angelina Jolie was paid $20 million. Orlando Bloom $8 million.
The person itself was
Sean
paid
Penn was paid $5 million. Ben Stiller was paid $4 million. Jean-Claude was paid $1.5 million. When they went over there to meet with Zelensky for the cameras, we paid for that.
So they've been propagating the whole war as well.
You could already
see that to begin with. But.
So this is why U.S. aid was being closed down, is because it was money that they've just stealing, and they just give it away to their friends, and all the money that's kicked back to them. It's incredible.
I mean, yeah, it looks like they're just it's that money's not going to those places. That money's going to somebody's pockets.
And why do we need to say why is
they need to find out whose pocket that's going to?
Well, that's what Doge is. That's why they don't want them looking at the payment in the Treasury Department, because then they can track it. That's why the Treasury and all them have went to court and filed this thing to stop them from getting in there. Again, when you're doing an audit and somebody says stop or starts screaming, they're usually the one that's behind the theft or the problem with the audit.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So,
yeah.
Again, it's all these people that people we've been trying to show you the media has lied to you for years and years and years, and people just don't get it. It's now you're seeing that it was all funded by the government.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean,
the government was paying these.
If these type of reports and things were out 10 years ago, this would be a different world today too. Well, hopefully, this is going to be a change of things to come.
Yeah, it need this. I mean, I think what you're going to see.
That's ridiculous
next,
spending that kind of money. You know how many shelters you could build with all that money to take care of your homeless or to take care of the problems you got here. Oh my God.
Homeless veterans.
I always had a problem with sending money to Ukraine in the first place, but I mean, all that stuff is just ridiculous.
Well, then he came out. Zelensky came out a couple of days ago and said of the $177 billion that was supposed to be here, he's only gotten 77 million of it. You didn't see that? Yeah, he came out and told the U.S. press that he's only gotten 77 of the 177 billion that the American government said they sent. You can pull that up and look that up, too.
Oh, my gosh.
So that's another $100 billion floating around there somewhere. Oh, we can go all back.
Oh, my gosh.
The CBS, did CBS finally air?
Unedited version of the interview with Kamala.
Remember when she did the interview right before and everybody was said it looked like it had been edited because her answers were too... Well, they put out the whole... Drop the whole. Yeah,
send that to me, man.
And this is just the article, but if you can pull up and go to CBS and watch it all.
You can.
Oh, okay. It's her stuttering. They cut out so much of it of her idiotic answers.
We'll put some of this stuff up on our Facebook for you guys, man, to check out. So, y'all check out our Facebook. We'll throw some of this stuff up as well, and some of the things we've been talking about today. That's crazy.
What was
that plane crash? I mean, you had 2 plane crashes in the last 10, 14 days.
Oh
my gosh,
very interesting. We've had 3. So, I mean, we've had 3 major incidents like that. Oh yeah, that was the other one.
White House says $50 million was to fund condoms in Gaza before foreign aid freeze. That's just fucking crazy.
That's supposedly where our tax.
Oh man, that $50 million is going to somebody's pocket. That ain't going to a Gaza condom.
It's
how many? I don't think they got that many people over there to fuck.
Probably no.
Not now. Not they've all been blown the fuck up.
Yeah, I don't even know what's going on.
Sorry, don't mean to be
I don't even know what's going on with all that over there. We haven't even gotten to all that catastrophe that's going on over there, but.
Yeah.
You know, that's a whole nother lesson in time and who was where and where was who at what time in history and what land is what over there. And you can do hours of reading and still not get a total grasp on that area. But there's parts of it that don't make sense, and I think that's the whole point. Is some point of time if you read a history about all that area, all the Middle East,
over there,
as far back in history as you can go.
There's the Palestinians and Israelites have been at each other's throats
like 1700
for centuries. I mean,
that's the early 1900s, right in that.
It just seems like there's related issue.
Well, no, but I mean, it seems like that in that 200 or 300 span a year of time.
Yeah.
That 17, 18, 19, right? The history makes sense, and then it makes sense, but that time.
When? What are you talking about? What
like
time?
But 1700s, 1800s, and 1900s in the Middle East.
Okay.
Go. I know you have to go. That's what I'm saying. It's a long and arduous journey of trying to read about all that area over there, and then trying to read like what Syria is, how they looked, their point of view. Damascus part of view, all their points of view, because all their points of view are different. That goes back to the whole thing about we talk about the winners, write history because it's who's only left. But even those other countries that are over there all have their own point of view. That's what's happened over the years and how that they've either lost or gained area of land and this and that and why they shouldn't have. And there's a lot to it. There's a lot that's happened in that land over time, but in the last kind of 200 or 300 years,
and if you notice, it seems to affect the rest of the world.
Yes, it does immensely. But that's kind of what is weird with the new thing that what's Trump talking about now about taking over Gaza and rebuilding it.
Yeah, I'm not. I want to hear the whole plan on this.
Yeah, I want to hear the whole plan, but he's talking about like taking it over military wise and getting it all cleaned up and building new house. From what I understand, like new housing, new everything in there.
I'm not quite sure what he means yet. So
for the Gazas.
Well,
what do they call them?
But the one thing, the Palestinians is the ones I think occupy that land right now. And he says he says that they're gonna. Trump says that they're gonna retain it. Now let's see what Israel has to say. But either way.
I don't think Israel shouldn't have anything to say about that anyway. I mean, again,
if it wasn't their territory to begin with, it shouldn't be their territory now. I mean, just because you guys got into a war, I mean, you guys have battled it out, and nobody's gotten anywhere. So let's call it a day.
It's just loss of life over there. Constant loss of life.
Well, I'm telling you, it goes back to biblical things, and it's bred into their being, and it's the same way as if you were like.
And that's why I have a hard time with structured religion.
Yeah.
Because it's not just.
It's just not the Palestinians. For you to understand
it's just not the Palestinians.
It makes it difficult for you to want to understand others.
Do you hear what I'm saying? It's just not the Palestinians. I've seen many, 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 many videos of Islamic or Christian people walking through Jewish parts of town and them being spit on by Jewish people in Israel and other things. It's just not the Palestinians that are the problem. It's a small, always like it always is.
It's never one person's
fault. It's a very
small
fractional part of one group or 3 or 4 of little groups. You know what I mean? Again, it's not all of the Palestinians and Israelites are bad, or Syrians or anybody else. That's the way the media portrays the hate for everybody. And I don't think any of these people really hate people as much as they actually.
I don't know. We'd have to talk. We need to talk to a few people. Maybe we need to.
That would be kind of interesting.
If you're Palestinian or Israelite, you like to come on, give us a talk, give us a call, check us out. Come on.
I think I got some people we might be able to ask about that.
I'm not sure I really have any friends that are Palestinian or Israel, but I do run into people all the time and talk to people all the time. So maybe I'll have to bring them on and we'll have to talk about it. That would be interesting.
I mean, I would.
I'd like to know what they think about the whole thing going on right now.
Thing from their perspective, somebody that was there or that has lived there. I want that kind of perspective. I don't want the TV or the news or YouTube. I want somebody that lived there and has lived I'd love to talk. Even if we couldn't get somebody on the show, I'd love to be able to sit down and talk to somebody like that.
I've got clients with my rental company so I can probably pick up the phone and call somebody and go, hey man.
Well, I'm just saying, you know what I mean?
But I would like to know, what I'd like to understand is really like I said before, that kind of ingrained mantra of being a Palestinian or being an Israelite. What does it mean? Okay, and it means something different being there than it does mean being here.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I understand there's.
So
I just think that's all.
And sometimes it may not. I mean, I may be wrong in that.
A lot of stuff when we were younger, and the races and all that stuff. but it was always it was never pushed by family or friends, or it was always pushed by the radio or the TV or the news.
Yeah, I mean,
I had friends. It's so funny because you know what the coolest thing to ever do when you have a kid is going into daycare when they're like 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah.
To go pick them up, and every kid in there has a smile and they're laughing and everybody's playing with everybody. Nobody kick. That's when you're completely innocent because nobody's taught you that you're
different from anybody else.
Yeah, or that you're supposed to hate somebody for. That's all taught.
Oh yeah.
That well, you're not supposed to like this race or that or
the nurture or nature.
Go find 2 young kids and put them in a room together. Doesn't matter what race they are, and within a few minutes they'll be playing and doing with a smile and laughter. No, those kids are innocent. That's why Jesus in the book tells you let the children come to me. Mm-hmm. It was the innocence that he knew that was pure innocence. They had no hate, no anger, no nothing for anybody.
They didn't want anything other than to listen.
They hadn't been taught it.
Yeah,
it hasn't been around them socially. Their parents, their grandparents, their great grandparents. The people they hang out with, the organizations they hang out with. That they are involved in. Everything can influence a way people over years look and feel about things.
Of course.
Training, whatever you want.
Well, I think I've always thought it's a mixture of nature and nurture.
Well, I think it is too. I think it's a lot of both. So, I don't know. We wanted to get back and get grooving again because we have missed it. That was what was really getting to me. I was really wanting to get back to just kind of sitting down and talking and We've been talking, but we hadn't
been talking behind the mics.
We've been running around so much. We've been talking on the phone and text.
Well, I'm still working with that band. So I mean, the ones we were going to have on the 9th when it iced over and we couldn't. They're still wanting to come on. So I'm looking to try to get them on for us here in February. I'm actually working on a video for them, for one of their songs. Doing some shooting for them. Doing some shooting.
And all you got to do is make a short about that. Just make a short about it and put it up on our thing.
I will. I'll do it. I'll put a little short up.
Yeah, I mean, the one I did.
Yeah.
Hey, you just do a little short like that and just pop it up there.
And I'm gonna put a call out to Tin Pool, man. We need to get you guys on the show as well. I know you guys got a new album coming out, so give me a shout, Tony.
Yeah. All right. Well, we didn't want to stay out of touch too long.
No.
It just gives we had some holidays and we had. Your grandmother passing away, so we've had a few things that we've had to deal with, and
shout out to Sean, his mother just passed away as well,
shout out
man.
Sean too, yes. Shout out to my Uncle Don. We're keeping him in his prayers. He fell a couple weeks ago and fell again, from what I understand from my dad. So I need to keep him in my prayers here the next couple of days, and y'all add him to your prayers for me too, and. Like I said, we'll probably be back grooving. We want to get a couple more out real quick because so much is happening right now in this country. So we want to, the longer we go, then we wouldn't be able to hit on a few things. And I did have a couple of
just get so much stuff out there that we can't kind of condense it into an hour, man.
Right? Yeah.
We'll hit what we can today. We'll come back to y'all again probably this weekend or next week and see what we can go.
I had some people ask a couple of questions a couple of days ago, and.
But I'll keep y'all posted on Facebook.
Yeah, we didn't even get to a couple of those things. But that stuff that's happening right now that probably going to progress along. So we'll be able to catch up with it down the line a little bit. I think we're a little early.
The world seems to be spinning a lot faster these days. I don't know if that's just me or what, but
we had my future ex-wife Tulsi Gabbard. She was brought in as. What is she now? National Secretary of Defense or
National Secretary of Defense?
Secretary of Defense, something like that. And we had we're waiting for RFK Jr. still.
I think he just got.
He got Senate approval. He got the
Senate approval today.
He got the.
So you got to go to the House.
what they do there is the Senate votes on that, but the committee votes first. You got to pass the committee vote, and he passed 14-13 in the committee. So now it goes to the floor, full floor vote.
Full floor, okay.
So I think that's next week. I think his is next week.
God, I'm horrible with that.
Kosh Patel's was supposed to be today, the FBI.
Yeah,
and the Democrats pushed that back to next week because they don't want him getting in there because he's about to open the January 6th files and show you that most of the people that were at January 6th were FBI agents and paid informants, and paid actors. So
yeah, it'll be interesting after seeing all the money that's just been released on who was getting paid for what. I mean, yeah, now I'm interested to see all this other stuff, man. So keep it rolling.
They're pulling the drain of the swamp, and at this point in time,
that's a good start, man. That money.
Everybody needs to walk down and throw their 5 or 10 gallon pump into the water at the swamp and help drain it, because that's
Well, I mean.
The more we're learning.
I know why I'm getting taxed so much now. You know what I mean?
So that Nigeria can have a transgender parade.
Yeah. And you can get pottery fucking lessons.
Maybe we need to...
Excuse me, guys.
All the young kids, we make a Gaza trip for your spring break. Pick up all the free condoms you can and bring it back with you.
Yeah, they got, 50 million of them?
$50
million. $50 million worth. So, I mean, hell of a lot of condoms, man.
All right. Well, we will see you all in probably a couple days.
Yeah,
we'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Be back again. Until then, my friends.
Peace.
Peace. From Unsweetened. Well, we're going to bring a lot to you, man. So y'all just stay tuned and be prepared.